1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a thumb war.
If you want to see the finish of this match, subscribe now.
Turn notifications on.
C2 Wrestling coming at you yet again. Friday night SmackDown in the books, per usual, on Friday night. CTD is here. Snowden is here. We're going to get into it. But real quick, before we do, hit that subscribe button or you're a fucking coward. It's that simple. SmackDown, though, a pretty packed episode tonight. Some good topics to get into. It was a pretty decent episode. They've been in this little revival period for SmackDown. Raw's been a little refreshed. It's only a couple weeks in, but turning out pretty good so far, if you ask me. Where do you want to start tonight?
I mean, starting right there and like the refreshment of SmackDown, we've talked about it a bit the last like week or two. It feels like a completely different show. I mean, we saw every single champion except the tag champions tonight,
Yeah,
right?
no Wyatt Six, but every other title was on TV. Yeah,
Every other title was on TV, you know, at
Wyatt
the
Six were on last week, weren't they?
yeah, at the
Yeah.
very least in a segment, but
hmm
or multiple segments. Yeah, I mean, this feels like a completely different show. And it's so funny because even some things like some stories that are kind of the same stories. Like I think of the Priest Black story. We'll get into that in a minute. But since like the refresher of SmackDown, that story was already going on. It's not like that story was made when they were like, all right, let's try to spice things up. But it feels like that story has gained so much more momentum in the last few weeks. They've started freshening things up. But I guess we'll start things off with what started the show. Cody comes out walking. Jimmy cuts him off. They say their hellos. Cody mentions having some troubles with your brother. Yeah, whatever. I'm here to see Drew McIntyre. Go to the ring. We get it made for tonight. Drew McIntyre versus Jimmy Uso in what'd they end up calling it? An
No
ODQ match?
DQ, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty standard. Opening to ending, standard tonight.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre. They have a match at Saturday night's main event. How do we get there? Jimmy Uso involved. I guess it plays off the back of Fatu being attacked by Drew McIntyre potentially, sure, but I don't know if I needed Jimmy Uso flowing over tonight. I guess it was something. Match was good at the main event, so I know I can't complain about that. But I don't know. Cody, Drew, we're in a similar boat with Drew that we've been talking about for a while now. Same with LA Knight. Like, are you ever going to pull the trigger? How many times has he gone for this championship at this point and lost in the last 2, 3 years, let alone last year? Uh, if not at Saturday Night's main event, I don't know if they'll ever do it. Cool. It'll be a good match. It always is. Kind of need more out of this. Last week's Cody Drew whole main event match thing, was cool. That was a little bit of a different side of Cody in a way. But we were kind of back to the normality in that sense tonight. It was all fine, but nothing really like pulling me in, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, we can kind of tie this together with the main event. Drew versus Jimmy. I mean, it was a fun match. Don't get me
Mm-hmm.
wrong. I'm sure they'll kind of tie it into Jay
Thought too,
saying
maybe.
Jimmy doesn't know what he's doing, going out there on his
It's true
own, ends
too,
up
yeah.
losing, whatever. What I was honestly thinking about with the finish of the show, with Cody coming out to help Jimmy and then eating a Claymore from Drew, I honestly was thinking, you mentioned how many times Drew's lost. It really, don't get me wrong, it's a lot. It wouldn't be as bad if we didn't have the WrestlePalooza match. I think that
Mhm.
really is like an anchor to it. Don't get me wrong, like it's still like the elephant in the room that Drew just never wins. We shouldn't say never. He did win the world title for 5 minutes, but he,
Yeah.
and won Money in the Bank. So he's had like these little like blips, but he loses the Punk feud. He obviously loses this feud or has been losing this feud. I think if they didn't have that WrestlePalooza match or have it close the show and everyone kind of bought into that fact that or that thought that Drew was going to win the title that night, which we mentioned in our prediction videos, like it might just be cut and dry. Cody might just beat him. And that's what ended up happening. And I feel like that was just the ultimate like stomp on the brakes of the interest of them two facing because it is a great matchup. I'm not saying Drew has no shot at winning because maybe they do spice it up. Maybe Drew does win. But this matchup specifically would be way more interesting. If they never had that WrestlePalooza match.
Yeah, definitely. It would be fresher, and not only
Yeah.
more fresh, as you said, the WrestlePalooza match maybe was a letdown of an ending, to say the least, for a lot of people. Cody, again, we've been driving this point home too. It's hard for him to take a big loss uh, outside of the SummerSlam match with Cena. He obviously loses to Seth Rollins. That was a hell of a match. Seth cheats to win, blah, 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 blah. Not the biggest deal. Drew could always cheat to win, don't get me wrong. But if Drew is going to win, my dude's got to put a real Claymore in the ring and blow Cody Rhodes up or something. The way they've been booking Cody Rhodes lately, it ain't just taking one or two punches. I'm looking forward to the match. Saturday night's main event. I feel like Drew's become like the poster boy for Saturday night's main event. I feel like he's been probably the most involved. Didn't they face at a Saturday night's main event as well? Am I just making that up? Maybe WrestlePalooza kind of blends in my
I
mind.
know Drew faced Randy at a Saturday Night's
He
Main
faced
Event.
Randy. Yeah, maybe I'm just making that up in my mind. I don't know. But Drew's been around on a few of the Saturday night's main events. I'm a little afraid that, ESPN's involved now. That's still Peacock and NBC. Yeah, it's primetime TV. Cena retires at the following one. So again, you want to book it strong to build to that one. But I don't know if they're going to pull the trigger on a whole lot of stuff at these Saturday night main event PLEs, whatever you want to call them. I do think one trigger is going to be pulled, though. We got, what, 3 title matches that
Yeah.
weekend? So somebody's going to be a new champion. I don't know if it's Drew.
Well, most likely with the world title being vacant, someone will be a new champion.
Well,
Um,
yeah, outside of that,
I
yeah.
don't know if it's on NBC. Have they promoted it as being on NBC?
Actually, I don't know. I mean, I know the other ones were at least. So I just kind of assumed.
Yeah, I don't know if they because I thought they were. I thought I remembered seeing that they
I
would
mean,
still be.
Peacock and NBC are affiliated. It's like it's the same thing, So I feel like it has to be if it's.
Yes, but I think these might when they sign that new deal and stuff. I think these might just be Peacock exclusive. I'm trying to,
I thought they
of
were
course,
primetime TV.
even though a match was made tonight, they still haven't fucking posted it. I mean, why would they? Uh, yeah, the other ones were, but I feel like I saw something that the next ones won't be unless that starts next
Is
year.
this the 4th one of the year, or is this the 5th one they've done since they ran this deal back? Because I'm pretty sure that deal was for 4. So maybe this one's not. I'm not sure. Um,
Yeah,
Regardless, though,
it's like they haven't fucking posted.
it's on
Um,
Peacock, which raised its price. You got to have ESPN. You got to have Netflix. It ain't cheap to watch all
um,
these events nowadays.
yeah, I mean, it just based on the graphic, it just says streaming on Peacock. Like when you go on to here,
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
just shows streaming on Peacock at the bottom. There's no NBC logo. I have a feeling
Oh, but on
because
WWE.com, I don't
does
know
it
how
show
well this is going to reflect, but on WWE, it's a little hard to see. But that little that's the NBC logo. It's a little hard to
interesting.
see, but
But I
it
think
says where to
Cena's,
watch next to it. But
I think Cena's is just Peacock, correct? Because I
ooh,
feel like I saw something that
is it?
Cena's is only Peacock, and they won't have to worry about the timing.
I mean, that would make sense for it to be Peacocks. They don't have to worry about the timing. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I don't know if we're even close enough to really see where that one's at, but yeah, I mean, regardless, Saturday Night's main event, there's
Yeah,
been some fun moments. It's a cool little event to do. I think their problem was doing 5 of these a year, 4 a year, whatever it's been, was not necessary.
yeah.
I think like 1 to 2 a year would have been just fine. I think it adds a little bit more value to each event. Some of them have been nothing burgers. Some of them have had legends retire, if you want to look at it like that. But world heavyweight title, Drew Punk, I almost just said Drew Cody is on that card as well. And then the women's championship, Jade Cargill returns, and not only returns, turned heel. It's against Tiffany Stratton. That goes on the Saturday night's main event card. Jade wins, for getting the world title. Maybe that's a title change that happens on that event. I'm not really too sure. I feel more confident in that than them pulling the trigger on Drew at this point.
Yeah, but before we talk about Jade Tiffy, Saturday night's main event, it'll really be the way they schedule the matches that are going to make you like, oh, because Cody ain't main eventing. I'd be
Mhm.
stunned if Cody dropped the title not in the main event.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it, and
absolutely, yeah.
and if he's not main eventing, he's probably opening the show.
Hmm.
And like, I mean, they could start the show with something crazy where he drops the title, but I feel like they would almost do the guaranteed title change in theory would be the main event with Punk taking on Jey Uso, but I don't know. So maybe the match order gives at least a little bit of a hint of what could happen. As for Jade versus Tiffy, as you mentioned, the first thing that came to my mind as soon as Jade turned heel, right?
What's that?
This is setting up for the Bianca return.
Yeah, I had the same thought. It's obviously setting up for Bianca. That might still be a couple of months away, even, but this is the slow roll at the very least into the Bianca return. One of them had to be heel. I wish it was Bianca that had the heel turn at some point. Jade's heel, fine. I don't mind. The Jade return is big for the women. That's a good little moment tonight. The SmackDown's women's division over the last couple months has been putting me to sleep, if I'm being honest. They're finally getting a little bit of life back into it, it seems. Julia involved a bit more. Jade comes back finally. I imagine Jade wouldn't have really even been gone if it wasn't for the cut across the eyebrow. That was a pretty nasty one for those that didn't see that. But a couple weeks off, Jade comes back. You gotta take that title off Tiffany at this point, though. Saturday night's main event. Again, maybe not all the eyes in the world around that event, but I don't see any reason to drag it out any further with Tiffany as champion. Take the belt off her. Give her some fucking time off for all I care. She's been on TV every week. Put it on Jade. Bianca comes back. Move it along.
Yeah, she's had an incredible year.
Hmm.
A loss won't kill her, even though
Yeah.
she's lost to Stephanie. Like she's got enough built up equity. I'm gonna take out the bat here and swing once more at that dead horse. The SmackDown Women's Division is so desperately needing for there to be a shakeup, like
Hmm.
ungodly bad. And it's
Both
not
rosters.
both rosters for sure, but some of them, you can still you're still like the SmackDown mid card title scene. It's like it's completely fresh. Ilya's
There's a mid
back.
card title scene. Oh, okay. The men. Yes. Yeah. I was gonna
Yeah.
say for the women.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, because they're a part of needing the shakeup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ilya's now the champ. There's all these fresh
Hmm.
matchups. You name it. So there's like some aspects of some shows where it's like, all right, they're not dying for
Hmm.
this, necessarily shake. Even the SmackDown tag division, you can make an argument with now MFT being in the mix and Wyatt Six being the champs. Like they're not dying for the shakeup.
Yeah.
The SmackDown women's division, good lord, they are like they might be the top of dying for it. And it's
Yeah.
not from a lack of talent. It's from all of these people have faced each other numerous times.
Mhm.
Like we're talking about getting Jade Tiffy. I mean, we've already seen this match like 3 or 4
Yeah.
times.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, yeah, it's a little bit fresher because Jade's a heel, but at the end of the day, we've still seen this. This was the SummerSlam match.
Hmm.
This was a triple threat match. Like, this isn't something new. It's just got a little bit of a twist to it. It may as well be the same as Cody Drew with the
Yeah.
amount of times that we've kind of seen it. So, would love the title change. It does feel like even if the title change doesn't happen, or even if Bianca doesn't return in a week, it is setting up the eventual Bianca return for that big money match of Bianca versus Jade that we have pretty much nailed on for Mania since before last Mania.
Was a triple threat for a
Was a
while.
triple threat, but obviously no longer. So yeah, it's probably to me, it's like the last thing they can do, and then they gotta move on.
Hmm.
I do have one other thought about the SmackDown Women's Division.
Okay, I do got to say real quick when it comes to the women needing a shakeup, I feel like after I watch a Friday night SmackDown, I'm sitting here going, the SmackDown women need a shakeup more than anything. You ask me after a Monday Night Raw, it's the Raw Tag Division needs a shakeup. At least the Raw Tag titles are on some fresh faces finally. They exist, so there's some movement going along over there. I think the SmackDown Women's Division needs the same thing. The title has to change hands. Julia's U.S. champ. She's on TV. More people wanted that. They were absolutely begging for it. Great. Not bought into the whole run, to be honest. Just isn't doing anything for me, but it's not even her fault. There's just nobody in that division right now. Again, they're not going to go back to Zelina. Zelina's paired up with Alistair, which is fantastic. Not mad at that at all. Chelsea is floating around. She had the original run. Mishin has lost to the title match 45 times. Where do you go with Julia? You know, there almost needs to be somebody else on SmackDown too for her to feud with. Naya's around, but Naya's had a segment today with Alexa and Charlotte, right? Like, I don't know. You know, they're just missing something.
Yeah. Side note, the Tiffy Kiana James match wasn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
It actually had some pretty solid moments. What I was mentioning when I said I had one other comment about the SmackDown women's division, the backstage segment with the women's tag champs, Alexa Bliss and Charlotte, with Nia interrupting. The immediate takeaway I had from that, and I don't know if I'm in a minority. The immediate takeaway I had from that is this is somehow their numbering for the inevitable women's War Games match, and these two on opposite sides. And it just feels, if that's the case, this is just so ungodly thrown together. This is just, I mean, another horse that we've beaten. War Games has pretty much run its course. This women's War Games match is going to be an absolute mashup of people that just really doesn't have much basis of needing the match to happen.
Yeah, you know, I think part of the problem is when you look at the men, listen, the men don't even need a War Games match either this year. But at least there's the vision. There was 3 of them. There's still 2. They're feuding with like 4 guys. They can add some partners. You have MFT in the Wyatt 6, you know, like there's at least potential there for some War Games. There is no need for a women's War Games match this year. But if they only did a men's and they didn't do a women's War Games, the fandom online would go berserk that the woman didn't get it, blah, blah, blah. I believe a couple of years ago, the woman didn't have a chamber and only the men did, if I'm not mistaken, at one of the chamber
so.
PLEs, you know, because it just didn't fit. It couldn't get it together. I don't think that's that big of a deal. But man, women's War Games this year, who the fuck cares?
Yeah, it's going to be some combination of the women's tag champs, Rhea and Asuka, and maybe Bailey and Lyra. Some combo of that group, and then all the people that they're feuding with. Just
Judgment Day, yeah.
Just completely not needed. Before we dive into some other things on SmackDown, or I guess this is part of other things on SmackDown. MFT beat Phoenix and Shinsuke Nakamura. They also kind of tease, you know, going against Cody. They tease the backstage segment where it's Fraxium and DIY, and Tama Tonga shows up and gives us a little yeah. What I do enjoy now with SmackDown that WWE's gotten away from, especially on SmackDown, but they're getting back to, it was the best when just kind of everybody was feuding with everybody. And that's really what it's going to again. And like that was enjoyable. How Tama Tonga, why not just have him throw a little shade towards Fraxium, and in a week or 2 we get Fraxium taking them on, whatever. Like there should be, we're rivals with them, we're rivals with them, they're also rivals with each other. Kind of how the SmackDown tag division was before that stretch of the show getting stale. I'm glad that we're getting back to that as well.
Yeah, I agree. MFT, especially a faction of that size, should be establishing themselves across the board. You know, they should be letting everybody in that arena know MFT's here. And I like it. You know, why not? Again, it doesn't even have to necessarily go anywhere. But on 2K, when you look up a superstar and they have the 5 rivalry boxes, and one is, this is the strongest one, and then they get lighter and lighter as they go on, I want those full, you know? I'm open to it. I love it. You know, I think a lot of the divisions across the board on SmackDown are kind of like that right now as well. Keep it going.
I want to finish with the U.S. Open Challenge. I said to you before we hopped on that I had something I wanted to say. But before that, we got a backstage segment with Carmelo Hayes being interviewed by Kathy Kelly. He gets interrupted by Kit Wilson, and we get a match set up.
little face turn for Carmelo?
I couldn't really tell. It was kind of. I think he might be more into that tweener. Like
That
he,
it was very face-ish, baby
it
face-ish to
was,
me.
it was, but I just like. It's just the piece of me that's like, I can't imagine Melo just being a full blown baby face right now. But
He
that
was in
was a
NXT for a while.
it was a very baby face promo, especially with him being like, I see the support, I hear the support, I appreciate the support. Like not even having bad blood towards the Miz after their seeming breakup. I love I love it, but side note, I love this Kit Wilson little things of like toxic masculinity. It makes
Yeah.
me laugh every time. I fucking love it.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, we're pretty Deadly fans since the beginning. I was a
Yeah.
pretty Deadly fan back in NXT UK, old school at this point. Looking forward to the eventual return of Ellen Prince, get the whole tag team back together. But Kill Wilson's good. You might as well use him in these little segments.
Yeah.
It's been fun. Um, Carmelo, I don't think the Miz thing is done. I think Miz does something next week in the match, Carmelo versus Kit. And we'll see where that goes. They'll get one final payoff match, sure. I do think it is the slow role of a babyface turn for Carmelo. I believe that was even rumored a couple weeks ago. Who knows what you read online? You never know, but might be coming true.
All right, last thing to talk about. What's been the highlight of SmackDown for the last few weeks and continues to be the US Open Challenge. This time, Ilya Dragunov. He sets the Open Challenge, answered by Aleister Black, which was a little bit of surprise, but made sense towards the end. I fucking love the US Open Challenge, and this is exactly what I love about it. I want Ilya to hold the title for a couple months, and
Hmm.
I want him to have a similar reign to Sami Zayn, where he holds it for 2, 3 months and he gets like 10 title defenses, whatever.
Yep.
I need him versus Nathan Frazier. I need him versus Axiom. I need him versus hell, Champa versus Gargano versus you name it. I
Kit
want him,
Wilson.
yeah, Kit Wilson, Carmelo Hayes, The Miz. I want him facing literally everybody. Like, I love that they're continuing the U.S. Open Challenge, and it was a damn fun match. This SmackDown was filled with actual like fun matches, and this was one of the more fun ones.
Yeah, I mean, I said it last week when Ilya returned and won. I texted it, I believe, and probably find the text. Ilya versus Alistair. Take my money. That's
Yep.
great. I love that it happened. Is it a little soon? I mean, maybe. Again, it makes sense in the end of it all. That could have been the feud for the championship down the line in which Ilya finally relinquishes the belt to somebody. Alistair could have been a great name to take the belt off of him, but it's still cool to get that match even on paper once. It's never happened before. A little bit of a number there for Ilya. Again, he has one of who knows how many defenses coming his way. Before you do get into your overall point, it might not happen next week. It might not happen in a month. It could be 6 months, this title run. If you're booking it, who takes the belt off Ilya? Open challenge style, of course. Let's say they eventually the belt will go back into a feud and the open challenges will end, whether it's not Ilya or the next guy or somebody. But if they're going to end Ilya's run with an open challenge like they did Sammy, who takes the belt off Ilya?
Oba.
That's yeah, exactly what was in my mind, right? Oh, but it's a little bit of a run back from some NXT stuff, but I think that's okay. That's maybe the next best thing. If it's not going to be Alistair, that's the next best one.
Yeah, I would love that. And that is like gives time for an Oba
Hmm.
call up. Doesn't need to be in a week or two. Give it 2 months, maybe around the Rumble. Then, Oba can go into Mania as US champion, whatever. You can have something cooking there. So the match itself, we had fun match. Zelina Vega getting involved a few times. She grabs Ilya's foot. Ref notices, doesn't notice. Who knows?
I think they called that as a shoot. Like I don't think he was supposed to notice, maybe, but he did, so they had to do something. I don't know. It was a little weird.
I don't know. Like obviously the ejection I expected,
Yeah.
but it was just like an awkward moment before the ejection actually happened. So she gets tossed, and on her way out, here comes Damian Priest. And I said I have a point. I'll get to that in a second. Damian Priest walking towards the ring. It's the distraction Ilya needs. hits Alistair. 1, 2, 3. The Torpedo Moscow wraps it up. Still a champ. Ilya immediately leaves the ring. Priest and Alistair start fighting. Zelina gets back involved. Alistair and Zelina escape. I had one major gripe with this,
Let's hear it.
and this is nitpicky. I
Okay.
will hand up. I am being nitpicky. I loved everything about this except one.
What's that?
I love Damian Priest. We have been Damian Priest guys for a long time. Punishment
Mark
Martinez.
Martinez, yep.
And even when there was a strong, like, there's still a little bit of it, but a strong, like, anti-Priest brigade.
Yep.
No. Priest
Never.
fucking rules. We like Priest. There's one thing I didn't like. We've got Priest coming out. And this isn't even all his fault. It's this big moment. He just got the fireball to the face. They're going to do this big reveal so you can see his eye. He needs to get his comeuppance with Aleister Black. This is a blood feud at this point. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
There is nothing, I mean nothing, that makes it any less impactful when a guy comes out for this blood feud moment and is wearing a shirt that says it's Wepa time.
Yeah. I kind of had a feeling that's where you were
looked at
going.
that
Yeah.
and I said, if he doesn't fucking rip that shirt in half right now, look, I don't care if that shirt sells like fucking hotcakes. This is a big moment, blood feud, big rivalry, this huge story they've been doing. That t-shirt, and again, WWE's t-shirt department's more to blame, but I saw that and I literally went, good fucking Christ. What is that? That can't be the shirt you're wearing in this moment. I know it's nitpicky, but holy shit. I was like, get that shit the fuck out of here.
Yeah, they have some rough merch throughout WWE shop. There's some cool old school stuff, but
Yeah.
the shirts that you got the current superstars, wearing, repping are rarely that good anymore. That's a very low tier shirt when it comes to all of their merch right now. It caught my eye even as well. I kind of had a feeling that's where you might be going once you said it was a little nitpicky. Yeah, listen, I would have rather any other shirt, but I didn't really think about it that deeply, I
No,
guess,
it bothered
in the moment,
me, man, as you could tell.
Yeah. I
Like,
can tell. I can
I
tell.
just like, it's this huge moment, and I'm like, I was just waiting for Cole on commentary to say it's Waypot time, like something fucking stupid in that moment. Like that's what it felt like. Oh, they're gonna turn this
Like
into
the
some
new It's Boss
stupid
Time.
shtick. Yeah, like that's exactly what I thought. And like Priest has had some good merch in the past, and he's got all these cool logos and cool designs, and he's a fucking cool character. I saw that and I was like, how am I supposed to take this guy serious in this moment right now? The Blue Jay just hit a grand slam, by the way. It's 9-2. That's crazy.
Wow, really? I had the game on, but I turned it off actually when we started doing this. That is pretty crazy. Yeah, that's not the ideal shirt to be wearing in that moment. It is a blood feud. It does lead me to ask because it could have ended last 2 weeks ago, whatever, with the fireball spot. That could have been the end, and Aleister Black could have moved on to other things. And they were feuding for weeks, months prior to that, but they're extending it. There's got to be one more match now. What do you book? To me, it's got to be a last man standing. This can go to a Hell in a Cell or something new, different. I don't know. Like this can't just be like a no DQ or a street fight at this point. This has to be some crazy matchup. I don't know how they end up ending this at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they already did the last man standing, so you probably can cross that out. It's made for a Hell in a Cell, 1,000,000%. Did they do it? They probably end up doing like a steel cage to keep Zelina out. That's what they end up saying.
Hell in a Cell would keep her out too.
A Hell in a Cell would be perfect. I just don't know if they're going to give this story the Hell in a Cell. I mean, it's deserving. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if they're going to have that be some marquee moment.
A stairs match.
And you know what I honestly thought? I was gonna say if this were Vince, it'd be a fucking blindfold match because
Yeah,
fucking Priest lost an eye. It'd be
yeah,
it'd literally
it
be a
really
blindfold
would
match.
be.
That's
Yeah.
what we would get.
But an eye for an eye match or
Maybe
something.
you know
yeah.
it'd be cool actually.
Alistair lost an eye back in the day
He
too.
did.
You
He
know.
did. I just thought of something else. A match that would keep Zelina out as well.
What's that?
A returning match.
Fight pit.
Let's fucking do an Inferno match.
Yeah, there's two matches in the history of WWE that I don't think we'll ever see again, if I'm being honest, and that's the Inferno match and the Buried Alive match. I guess Inferno match isn't totally off the board, but what was the last Inferno match? MVP and Kane?
No. I know Bray faced Kane.
Yeah, but that
And
wasn't a fucking.
it was a Ring of Fire.
Get the fuck out of here with that garbage.
I feel like there was another one since
Man,
then.
there's some dark days in wrestling, man. That's crazy.
They put a fire blanket over the fire. God, man, we were watching some dog shit. And we were like, this is good.
Dog shit. We're still here. We ain't ever leaving at this one. We would have left a long fucking time ago.
That wasn't even like top 100 of the bad shit that we saw.
Ring of Fire match is a good one. It is a different time right now, I guess. An Inferno match I can't take off the board. That'd be great. I would love that. I think that's a fantastic.
They'd probably do a Ring of Fire where you don't have to like actually light the person on
light
fire.
the guy on fire, which is at that point. Do a Hell in a Cell. Yeah, do a fucking Hell in a Cell. That's dumb.
What difference does it make?
Yeah.
But they need some mega payoff for sure because you can't have this feud. You've literally done a fireball spot, so
Fire makes sense. Yeah,
this ain't ending in a fucking submission match. It's got to be something.
Yeah.
They got to really up the ante. So I don't know, but I guess the even better question is, what show do you even do it on?
I was gonna put that into my whole point of how do you end this is it's not gonna maybe happen. Maybe it does make the card of Survivor Series, but they're not gonna do a Hell in a Cell double ring. You know what I mean? They got War Games, all that. Saturday's main event, the Rumble. I don't know. What I do know is if you don't hit that fucking subscribe button,
I want you to go.
you're a fucking coward.
Agreed.